So what is a beta particle? So beta particles, it is mentioned here, is that they are identical to with electrons. So please note that the word here used here is called identical. By identical we mean that they also have the same charge and mass as electrons. The only thing differentiating beta rays from electrons is that beta rays originate from the nucleus. Okay, they are essentially the same particle. The only difference between them is that origin of beta rays is from the nucleus, whereas electrons are found in atoms. Okay, so again the mass of the beta particle is 1 by 836 times 1 by 1836 times that of the proton. Here are some examples of beta decay. Thorium gives rise to an electron, bismuth gives rise to an electron, and polonium, even light elements like carbon, loses an electron and gives rise to a nitrogen particle. Okay. So in all these equations you will see that the total mass number is same, 234, 234, 210, 210, 14 and 14. The change happens on the lower side. Okay, 91 minus 1 will give you 90, 84 minus 1 will give you 83, 7 minus 1 will give you 6. Okay, so here it is written that the mass number and charge are conserved. Okay, and a daughter product moves up one place up in the periodic table. That is, this daughter here, so initially the parent is carbon, but daughter is now nitrogen. Okay, so so basically this is what we are considering. So in the case of beta decay, you will have an electron, okay, emission, and the original parent will be one number less than that of a daughter. Okay, now compared to alpha particles, beta rays cause much less ionization in air. Okay, alpha particles, we know they are very ionizing and they lose high energy. Okay, so that is why their range is short. Instead, beta rays are less ionizing in nature and they are 100 times more penetrating than alpha rays. Okay, so they can penetrate a sheet of aluminum which is a few mm thick. Okay, but that is not possible for alpha particles. Okay, now velocities of beta particle can range up to 0.99 c. Okay, so they can be as fast as, or almost as fast as speed of light. Okay, for each and every beta particle emission that takes place, the energy of the emitted beta particle is between 0 and a certain maximum limit. This maximum energy is called the end point energy. That is what we have to remember. This information is quite useful. We'll study it in more detail later on. Okay, so basically this is a brief introduction of the idea of what is a beta particle. Okay, okay, we saw a good reason why electrons cannot be within the nucleus, and it must be formed at the time of its emission by beta decay process only. Okay, we already studied why electron cannot be in the nucleus, because it's very large energy. 124 MeV is needed for the electron if it is inside the nucleus. Okay. So just like alpha decay spectrum, we also have a beta decay spectrum. Okay, a simple beta decay spectrometer, we introduce some. Okay, unlike the line spectrum of alpha rays, so we know that alpha rays have line spectrum. Okay, and it also has a fine structure. But beta decay has a spectrum which is continuous. Okay, this continuous nature of beta ray gives rise to difficulties in understanding beta decay. Why? The chief problem is that beta decay is an energy transition between two definite energy states. Okay, beta decay happens when the parent nucleus and transitions from parent to daughter nucleus is taking place. So when there is a parent energy level and it comes down to a daughter energy level, so there is an emission of beta particle. So this is a fixed energy level. So what it means is that we should expect sharp lines, okay, discrete lines, just like in the case of alpha particles. But what happens is, so basically we expect that the monoenergetic beta rays are expected to form a line spectrum. Okay, but the spectrum observed is continuous, implying that electrons emitted in beta decay process do not have the same kinetic energy. Okay, now let us say if the particle is going from this energy level to this energy level. Okay, so this is a difference is fixed. Okay, if the difference is fixed, that means the energy of emission is also fixed. So if the energy is fixed, then the velocity means energy is fixed, then kinetic energy is also fixed. So what it means that we'll have a fixed energy scale available to us, and none of the particles will have a different. If they have different, then we will have a fine structure available. But instead of that, we get a structure like this. So we have the number of particles on the y-axis and the energy on the x-axis. Okay, so you see a continuous line. You are not seeing any peaks like this, a single line for this, a single line for this, or a single line for this. This kind of things are not happening. Instead, you are getting a continuous line. Okay, what this shows is that beta particles can exist for each and every energy available to it up to a maximum limit. Okay, so this continuous nature of beta spectrum is unexpected because the beta transition is connecting between two definite energy. Okay, now if you see this both of this graph, there is a maximum coming here. Okay, so for this graph the maximum is at 4.75 and here the maximum is at around 8.5. Okay, so what is this? This is the maximum number of electrons that are emitted for a particular energy. Okay, so what it says is most of the electrons corresponding to the peak of curves are emitted with only about 1/3 of the maximum energy Emax. Okay, so now once again let us see the figure. In this figure we are going in increasing order with energy, and there is this energy which is maximum. Beyond this beyond this there is no energy available, or there is no particle being emitted with energy greater than this value. So this is the maximum limit for a given beta particle. Okay, now if we assume that a beta particle is a difference between one energy level and another energy level, okay, in that case the number of particles should be all should be having the same energy. So only one line is needed and all the particles will be there for the same line, but we are having many lines available. Okay, and corresponding to each line there is a number of particles. Okay, so for example, just a minute. Okay, so this is the maximum energy. Okay, and so we would normally expect that most of the particles would be emitted with this difference only, E2 minus E1. Okay. In that case, if most of the particles are being emitted with this difference, E2 minus E1 is this difference, so which is equal to, let us say, 0.1 here. In that case, how come there are particles with more energy? How come the beta particle is having more energy? Or if you assume a difference, say, let us say E2 minus E1 is the maximum energy difference. That is, this E max is equal to E2 minus E1. If E max is equal to E2 minus E1, then in that case, why are other particles being emitted with less energy? Here it is saying that most of the electrons. So where are most of the electrons? Most of the electrons are at the peak. Okay. So these are emitted with the energy which is very less than. This is like 1.1 and this is 1/10 of that value. In this figure, the E max is around 0.7. Then the maximum are available at 0.2, which is 1/3 of it. So it is saying that most of the electrons are being emitted with energy which is 1/3 of it. That is, from here to here, they must be going only halfway or 1/3. So there is no such energy level available, or we are not able to discover such a level. So the question is, where is the energy going? Sorry. So what is happening to the missing 2/3 of the energy max? This missing energy must be accounted for to uphold the principle of conservation of energy. We know that the principle of conservation of energy is correct for all systems. So this loss of energy has to be explained in some way. Somewhere this energy is going, but where? Okay. So one of the idea was the energy was carried by gamma ray. Okay. The energy was carried by gamma ray. So if energy is carried out by gamma ray, then okay, we can explain this. But even by experimental observations using very sensitive calorimeters, there was no particle or no gamma ray emission being detected. Okay. So the experimenters measured the beta energy released in beta decay by its heating effect. They assumed that all the particles involved in the integrator are stopped by the calorimeter. Okay. So they found that for bismuth, the energy of 0.34 MeV was found, which agrees well with the average energy. Okay. This is agreeing well with this average energy value around. Okay, for bismuth. So that they were able to find. But what about other levels? However, this does not agree with the maximum energy Emax. So there is also particles with energy Emax. So where it is not matching. So how do you explain this? Now see, this is the figure in which on the y-axis you have beta particles, and on the x-axis we have the energy. So what this graph is saying about is that okay, for energy 0.2 there are 8 particles. So if a beta emission is happening and the energy of the particles is 0.2, the experimentalists found that there were 8 particles which are coming out with the energy 0.2. They found that there were 6 particles, around 6 particles which are coming with energy 0.4. There were around 4 particles coming with energy, or say 4.2 particles coming with energy 0.6. So roughly it's 4. So very few particles, around 3 particles were coming with energy 0.8, and say there are around 1 particle was coming with energy 1. Here 1 is 1 mega electron volt. Okay, and negligible particles were coming with energy Emax. Here Emax is equal to, let us say, E2 minus E1. E2 minus E1, this energy difference is your Emax. Okay, now by definition or by understanding of the process of beta decay, okay, what is the process of beta decay? We know that it is a transition from parent to daughter nucleus with the emission of electron. So this is a transition from one fixed energy level to another fixed energy level. Okay, parent to daughter, there is only one difference available. So in that case, what we should have is, you should have all the particles. So let us say 8 plus 6 plus 4 plus 2 plus 1. All of these add up to a number, let us say 24 or 20. So all the 20 electrons should have the same energy, fixed energy. So for example, it should be equal to Emax, which is the maximum. So we should have a straight line here like this, going up to 20. Okay, but instead of that, we are having multiple points. Okay, so this is the main issue. See, how does, instead of a single line or we get a curve? First question is that. Also, the maximum energy is given by Emax, but there are particles which are coming with an energy less than Emax. Okay, so see, Emax is almost negligible. Almost 0 particles are coming with energy Emax. One particle is coming with 1 MeV. There are 3 particles coming with energy 0.8 MeV. There are 4 particles coming with energy 0.6 MeV. There are 6 particles coming with energy 0.4. There are 8 particles coming with energy 0.2. So the rest of the energy, that is 1.2 minus 0.2 is 0.2 is 1 MeV. Where is this 1 MeV energy going? Okay, because if a particle is coming, then it will make a transition from E2 to E1 to E2. So its energy should be 1.2 MeV. Okay, but here it is showing its energy is only 0.2. So where is the 1 MeV energy going? That is the question. So generally it is assumed that, okay, since we came to know about gamma rays and all these things, so scientists at that time assumed that this energy was going to the gamma rays. Okay, but if it is taking away by the gamma ray, then your calorimeter, which measures this reading, should be able to detect the gamma ray, but they were not able to find it. Okay, also the calorimeter reading was never able to explain the reading of 1.17 MeV. Okay, is it clear to all of you now? So we'll continue a bit ahead and then we'll finish the whole problem. Okay, so now this Emax is what we called as the definite upper limit. Okay, and it is called the end point energy. It is the maximum energy that is found. Another reason for calling it the end point is because here it comes at the end of the graph. So you can consider it at the end of the maximum energy which is to gain is found to be the total energy available for disintegration of the beta decay process. So this much energy is available always, but still the particles are emitted with lesser energy. Why? Okay. Now another thing. Now this is the example of bismuth giving rise to polonium and an electron. Now if we consider the Q equation formula, then you can write bismuth is equal to polonium plus electron plus some energy Q. Okay. So for Q, if we take the value of Emax, that is the end point energy, then the mass energy conversion is completely balanced. The mass energy relation is exactly balanced if we take Q value equal to Emax. So what does this mean? That energy equal to Emax is always released. Okay, but where is it going? Nobody knows. Okay, so to balance the mass energy equations, Q has to be made equal to Emax. Okay, now another problem was so the problem one problem is continuous nature. The second problem is violation of principle of conservation of angular momentum. Okay. So first is violation of principle of conservation of energy, and second is violation of principle of angular momentum. Now consider this nuclear equation. It is 3H1. Okay. So it is a hydrogen atom with 2 protons. Okay. It will give rise to helium. Okay, and an electron. So here the mass number is same, and here 2 minus 1 will give you 1. So this equation is balanced in that sense of charge also. But what is happening is, here on the left hand side, the spin of the particle is 1/2, because the hydrogen atom is a fermion. Okay, so it will have a spin 1/2. Again, helium atom is also a fermion, so it will have a spin 1/2. Electron is, as you know, a fermion, so it will also have a spin 1/2. Okay, so if the spins of helium and electron are in the same direction, the spin will add up to half plus half is equal to 1, or if they are anti-parallel, then it will be plus half and minus half, which will be 0. So you have, on the right hand side you have a spin which is 0 or 1, and on the left hand side you have a spin which is 1/2. So here what is happening? Here angular momentum is not being conserved. Here the charge and mass are conserved, but angular momentum of 3H is 1/2, and that of 3He plus E is either 0 or 1, depending on the spin direction. Now both are fermions, so that sum is either 0 or 1. Also helium may have an integral angular momentum also, okay, because of orbital motion. Thus the angular momentum on LHS is half integral, while the right hand side is integral. So the law of conservation of momentum is also in question. To talk in a different sense, what we find is, on the right hand side we have a fermion, on the left hand side we have a fermion, whereas on the right hand side we have a boson. Okay, so there are 2 problems with the theory. First is continuous nature, which is violating the principle of energy, conservation of energy, and another is spin 1/2, which is violating the conservation of angular momentum. Okay, so these are the 2 problems which are encountered when you are studying beta decay.